So one point that I always see people talking about in the zombies community is the point system. The point system in COD Zombies has always been an interesting topic to discuss, considering that the community has been kind of split on this for a long time. The point system, I would argue, is literally the most important thing about a zombies map, because it's literally what makes the progression of the map. It's how you open all the doors on the map, it's how you get all the perks, and it's how you upgrade your guns and stuff like that as well. But why exactly nowadays is the point system so split? Is the new point system really that bad? Well, in today's video, I wanted to try and figure that out. So basically how the classic point system works is you got 10 points for every bullet that you put in a zombie instead of having it be kill based. So like every bullet you shoot into a zombie gives you 10 points. It was pretty much based off of gun damage and zombie health, meaning that if you used a specific way to kill zombies in the earlier rounds, you can end up with more points than everyone else in the map. Like for example, in the beginning of the match, you're gonna want to shoot the zombie 4 times in the legs or the chest and knife it once to be able to get the optimal amount of points that you want to get in the early game. This, in my opinion, makes shittier weapons more viable, as they have a little bit of a use for higher rounds, since you can just spray them into the zombies and get a shit ton of points with them. But on the other hand, you can also argue at the same time that since it makes shittier weapons more viable, that means that stuff like wonder weapons and stuff, you're not gonna necessarily get as many points from them because they're better at killing the zombies. You know what I mean? It literally discourages you from wanting to use specific weapons just because you can't get as many points with them. And this becomes a big issue, especially with wonder weapons, where they barely give you any points whatsoever, especially in the earlier rounds where you absolutely need points. You could also make the argument that people were getting too many points way too quickly, which I also completely understand that argument as well. I personally think that the biggest issue with the classic point system is the fact that you have to use like specific guns in order to get a certain amount of points. Like you literally want to be running mule kick with a third gun if you want to get a bunch of points on a high round. Which, as a result, like I said, makes you just not want to pick up specific weapons in this game due to the fact that they're just not going to give you as much points as if you just got a shitty gun off the wall. Which, the more I think about it, the more I realize, like, this decision makes absolutely no sense to me. That's why you don't see anybody using a shotgun or anything in the early rounds, because in order to get that maximum amount of points, you have to shoot them with bullets. Which, as a result, also slowed down the gameplay a lot, considering that you have to shoot the zombie 4 times and knife them before you kill them. And I think the developers realized the flaws in the point system, because with Black Ops 4, they would change a lot of stuff, but one of the things they would look into and change is the point system. Now, the point system in Black Ops 4 essentially works the same way it does now, where instead of it being like damage based, it's now based off of kills that you get. So every time you kill a zombie is when you get points. Now, if you get a headshot on a zombie or you knife a zombie, that will give you the maximum amount of points that you Which need. Is honestly not a bad idea, considering now I can just get right into the action and not have to do that slow, monotonous thing of shooting the zombie 4 times and then knifing it. It also makes every single gun in this game more viable, as now you're going to get the same amount of points if you were using a shitty SMG than if you were using like a ray gun or something. Which forces player to switch up their strategies in the early game, as now you're gonna want to knife or shoot zombies in the head to get the maximum amount of points, and it's a lot quicker. Because let's be honest, having to get mule kick just to buy a third gun just for points, like you can't even, like, it's in my opinion, it's not fun just farming points, not even being able to kill zombies. Like, I understand why Treyarch changed the point system. They didn't want players to have a specific way they had to kill zombies, but they also wanted to try and make every gun in this game more viable. Like, they didn't want you to have to use a shitty SMG just to get a shit ton of points on a higher round. Like, with this new point system, you can basically kill zombies any way you want and still get the same amount of points, basically. But here's the issue. Now that the point system reward you more for using more powerful weapons, that means that the more shitty weapons are just more useless this time. Because now what's the point of using a gun that barely does any damage? Because if you can't kill the zombies, you don't get any points anyway. Now, the issue I have with this current point system is not necessarily the way you earn points, but the amount of points you're earning and the amount of points that you're spending. And while yes, in Black Ops 4, you do have to pack a punch multiple times in order to upgrade your gun, the cost doesn't scale up in price every single time you want to pack a punch. Whereas in these games, you only get a certain amount of points for killing zombies, and the cost of everything goes up every time you buy something, which as a result feels like you're constantly running out of points in these games. And that, in my opinion, is the biggest issue with this modern point system, is the fact that you don't earn a ton of points for killing zombies, and the costs keep scaling up, so you just can't keep up with the PAP costs or anything, especially in Cursed, dude. Because while Cursed brought back the classic point system, it also just still feels like you're running out of points, considering the PAP prices in Cursed are absolutely egregious. Like, I get that they don't want you getting a ton of points super quickly in the early game to break progression, but at the same time, that's kind of what made old zombies fun, in my opinion. Like, I honestly don't know why they don't just increase the amount of points you can get per kill or decrease the prices of stuff. Like, it's really weird, and it makes the point economy feel like it's so strict, because probably to the average player as well, being overpowered is what makes the game fun. Whereas with this new point system, like I said, it just constantly feels like you're running out of points. And while Black Ops 4 does have the same point system pretty much, it still doesn't feel like you're running out of points, considering that every time you buy something, the prices don't just skyrocket every time you purchase. Something they could either do, like I said, is they could either increase the amount of points you get per kill, or stop making it so the prices go up every time you buy something, because you literally cannot keep up with the prices of stuff. It's ridiculous. And I don't even hate the classic point system, and I don't even hate this modern point system. The only thing I don't like is I wish you got more points for killing zombies, and I really don't like that shit gets more expensive the more you purchase. Because not only would it make this point system a little bit more bearable to handle, but also it just makes sense with the way this point system is. Because if it really wants you to have more player choice, to be able to have the freedom to use any gun you want, then I should be able to get a shit ton of points using that gun that I want to use. And having the amount of points that you get per zombie be so low, it doesn't make any sense to have the prices increase. You know what I mean? Or if you're gonna have the price increase, then increase the amount of points I get. Because I like this point system, I just don't like how strict the point economy is right now. Even just decreasing the pack-a-punch prices in Curse would go a long way. But let me know what you guys think of the point system in the comments. Do you prefer the classic or the modern point system, or do you not really have a preference, honestly? Just let me know in the comments. Alright, that's all I got for this video. See ya.